Good morning, Year 8. This is Mr. Perez. We are going to be going over our second assessment task for Year 8 History. If you have a highlighter or a pencil or a pen, please bring it out so we can highlight the important details to this document. First and foremost, so to point your attention, this is worth 35% of your mark. It's given to you today in week 8, and it's going to be due for those that are receiving it today on Monday, on the 31st of March, and the letters that correspond with these due dates are here. And then for 8 History L, it will be due on the 1st of April. So take a moment now to highlight which one is your due date. Now, this assessment will comprise of 2 different parts. Part A is going to be Medieval Europe Persuasive newspaper article. You are to write a 400 to 500 word newspaper article from the perspective of a member of a medieval society group arguing why your group is the most essential to the feudal system. So we've been going through the feudal system. If you remember, we have the king, the nobles, the knights, and the peasants. You are to choose one of those and then write why you believe they are the most essential, most important to the social structure. In your article, you must write in the first person as if you were part of that group. You need to argue why your social group is the most essential to medieval Europe in medieval European feudal system. Acknowledge another social group's perspective why they might believe they are the most essential and counter their argument. Use at least 2 sources. One of them must be a primary source. You need to include one image or illustration alongside your article. Sources you can use are primary sources. You can look at written accounts such as medieval chronicles, letters, law, code, medieval illustrations or paintings such as tapestries, manuscript illustrations, paintings, sculpture, etc. And then you can also look at archaeological artifacts.
Dad, I'm already done.
For secondary sources, we can be looking at different websites that we can find online, as well as looking at textbooks or other different reliable sources. As if you could go to the library and check out the extension of medieval European sources that they have at your local library, or you can check our school library as well. There's been a scaffold for the newspaper template, which is provided to you in your Google Classroom. It looks a little something like this. We've given you a couple of options here that you can use for your layout. Again, these are just scaffolds and possible suggestions, but if you want to use Canva or a different template for a newspaper article, please feel free to use it. Just remember to incorporate the things that are required in your Part A. Part B is going to be a Viva Voce in-class presentation. A Viva Voce. So a Viva Voce is essentially you doing an oral assessment task, meaning your teacher is going to be asking you a question and you have to answer to them right then and there of your knowledge of whatever the question is. So you will be answering questions one-on-one with your teacher based on medieval European newspaper article through your social group. Your teacher will ask you one question from each of the categories below during your allocated time in class. So on the day of the assessment that it is due, we will be running these Viva Voces. Your teacher will ask you a question from each of these different categories. Now, if you see category C, there's only one question, so be prepared to answer all this question. But for here, it will be randomly drawn which questions you will be answering. The teacher will give you 5 minutes to prepare for whatever questions that are randomly given to you, and then you will come out and we will do the Viva Voce assessment. More to come from your teacher on this process. Looking at our outcomes, we are looking at HT 4-6 uses evidence from sources to support historical narratives. 4-8 locates, selects, and organizes information from sources. And 4-10 uses appropriate oral, written, and visual digital forms to communicate about the past. We've been working a lot with sources from our last assessment task, so make sure that we are incorporating good, reliable sources and make sure that we are being clear and concise when it comes to writing, and also remembering our Viva Voce. Also, speaking is another element of this assessment task. You need to make sure your task is typed with your full name on it and your teacher's name. Please submit on the Google Classroom on your Google Classrooms, and you should be bringing in a printed copy for you to use during your Viva Voce. And just be prepared for the types of questions you might be asked during that Viva Voce. You may reference your newspaper article, but there's no other notes that you can bring in pre-prepared answers for the questions. It'll have to be what you've memorized. We did go through the Glenwood Doing It Right plagiarism, so I want you to also be aware of plagiarism, copy pasting. Remember, we want to paraphrase and use in our own words, summarize information that we've learned, and also the use of AI. If it is suspected that you've plagiarized or have used AI, we will run it through a special program called Turnitin that will check for plagiarism in AI. So the teachers now are very aware of what plagiarism in AI looks like and writes like, so please do not go through that pathway. Use your own knowledge and understanding. Ask your teacher questions. Our statement of ownership, and we move into the marking criteria. So part A is worth 15 marks, part B is worth 10 marks. And if we look here, I'm just going to go through the 5-mark sections because that's what we should all be aiming for. So number 1, HD 4-6, there's a great explanation here of what we are looking for as teachers, but this goes towards our newspaper article, our persuasive newspaper article. You effectively integrate at least 2 sources, one of them must be primary, with strong analysis in their significance and support to the argument. So telling us why you are the most important social group using evidence from your source. The next one's 4-8. Selects and organize highly relevant historical information, presents a convincing argument. So making sure that you're not just finding some random photo of a king and saying this is why it's important, but you have to be able to bring it all together in this particular segment here. When it comes to 4-8, there's 2 different sections looking at communication and his historical perspective, and then just writing in general. You write a highly engaging first-person perspective with a strong historical voice. Article reads like an authentic medieval newspaper with clear structure and flow. Just emphasizing that structure and flow. You have your main points, supporting arguments, analysis. Think back to Peel or Seal, whatever your teachers have used in the past. The last one is on writing. You write fluently, well-structured writing with minimal or no errors. To make sure that we become the best writers we can be, we want to assess that as well. The last one here is for our Viva Voce. Again, this is out of 10 marks. And just going through the list here of what a 10 out of 10 will look like. I mean, you are highly articulate and confident with strong eye contact. You know what you're talking about. It's sophisticated and insightful understanding of your chosen social group. You've done your research. You understand who your social group is and are able to speak about it. Uses historical terminology fluently and accurately. Clearly explains roles, responsibilities, interactions, and historical perspectives of your social group. And you have minimal reliance on notes on the newspaper article, showing you have an independent understanding. This means you actually done the assessment right, and you can just have that conversation or answer that questions to your teachers directly. That is our assessment task. All of this is posted in our Google Classroom. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to your teacher sooner rather than later. Myself, Mr. Perez, will have a assessment task help this Thursday after school in the homework club. If anybody wants to come to get a head start on their assessment task, myself, Mr. Perez, will be there to help assist and get you started. Also helping to help find some sources or start the research going for the assessment task. Again, that is this Thursday, and depending on our turnout, I may offer another session next week, Thursday, at Homework Club in the library. Stay tuned to the Google Classrooms. I'll have more announcements on that. But other than that, this is Mr. Perez. Put your best effort into your assessment task. And we look forward to reading these persuasive newspaper articles and hearing you speak about history through your Viva Voce. Have a great day.